Hello students! Today we are going to study the second chapter of the Unit 7, which is the Geographical Discoveries. We will start with the explorations of the Portuguese. Secondly, we will study the discovery of America. And thirdly, we will watch the Treaty of Tordesillas. We are going to start with the explorations of the Portuguese. The Portuguese people were the first ones who explored the Atlantic Ocean southwards. Their goal was to reach India in Asia beyond the Cape of Good Hope. The Portuguese during the 15th century explored the coast of Africa, and a century later, in the 1498, they reached India. During their way, they were conquering and founding not cities but a kind of harbor factories for doing their trading in Madeira, Azores, Cape Verde, the Gulf of Guinea, the Cape of Good Hope, and finally until they get to India. And thanks to this, the Portuguese had new maritime routes and settlements on the coast of Africa and Asia, and this enabled them to control the European trade of slaves, gold, spices, and silk. This is an example of the first discoveries of the Portuguese in the first part of their explorations. With the Portuguese explorations, we have three main characters who were Henry the Navigator, the king, and two captains, Bartolomé Diaz and Vasco da Gama. With Henry the Navigator, during his times, Portuguese explorers were able to get until below Cape Verde Islands. Bartolomé Diaz, in the Orange Arrow, he continued exploring for the Portuguese until the Cape of Good Hope. He was the first European being able to get there. And they didn't stop here, because Vasco da Gama, afterwards, he continued the explorations of the Portuguese until he led the Portuguese ships to India. The second chapter, the discovery of America, has much to do with Christopher Columbus. His plans, as he thought that the world was an sphere, was to reach India sailing west across the Atlantic Ocean. He first offered his plans to John II of Portugal, but he refused his plans. And secondly, the Catholic monarchs accepted it. They signed the agreement, the treaty, the capitulations of Santa Fe, an agreement in which Colón was given the title of Admiral of the Ocean Sea, the title of Viceroy, Governor of the lands that they or he could discover, and the 10% of the profits, the benefits, the riches that he found. The first Columbus voyage was from the harbor of Palos in Huelva, the 3rd of August of 1492, and arrived the 12th of October of that year to the island of Bahamas. It wasn't the only voyage that Columbus made, because he did three more from Spain to the new lands, and finally he died in the 1506 in Valladolid, still thinking that he had got to India. Columbus gave the name for a country, Colombia, but not for the continent. It was given to, or because Americo Vespucci, he was from Florence, an Italian explorer, and it is because he was the first person to realize, the first explorer to realize that it was a new continent, not Asia. In this map of the Atlantic Ocean and Europe, part of Europe and part of Central America, we have the lines in different colors of the four voyages that Colón did during his life from Europe to America, of course. And we get to the third chapter of this page, the Treaty of Tordesillas, the division of the world. The Portuguese, with the discovery of America or new places, they claimed that those territories in America belonged to them because of the Treaty of Alcazovas. In that treaty, they had agreed that all discovered territories found in the Atlantic Ocean would be divided into Spain and Portugal this way. Canary Islands for Spain, but the rest for Portugal, and America obviously was part of the rest. However, The Catholic monarchs claimed that the territories discovered by Columbus were to the west of the Canary Islands, not to the south. In order to get a solution, the kings of Spain and Portugal signed a different treaty, the Treaty of Tordesillas, in 1494. In this treaty, they divided the newly discovered lands outside of Europe by using an imaginary line located 370 leagues west of Cape Verde. And this way, Portugal would receive the lands east and Spain would receive the lands west. Here in this map, we have an example of the division of the world for the recently discovered places between Portugal and Spain.